Hey guys, good evening. I hope you're doing well tonight. We're going to be going through another guide today. This time we are going to be calibrating the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection on Nintendo Switch to actually look as it should with proper black levels and everything else. When Tecmo actually went ahead and shipped this collection, they shipped in a very awful kind of way. They were just really busted. They had frame rate issues. They've cleaned up most of the frame rate issues, but the stock gamma issues are still there. The stock setting issues are still there. So what we're actually going to be going and doing is we're going to be going through the settings, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to fix most of the issues that you're going to experience with these games. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, in all honesty, I'm not really sure what happened with these titles. I know that they were not functioning like this on Xbox 360, as well as back when I was playing Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the PS3. They didn't really have these brightness issues, but I think that Tecmo kind of half-assed the release a little bit. I know that they pushed out a bunch of patches trying to fix the various issues and everything else, but this guide is mainly for those that went ahead and purchased and downloaded the Nintendo Switch version. It's only gotten a few patches. It wasn't patched nearly as much as the other platforms that they released it on have been. So we're going to go through, we're going to fix it as much as we can, and we're going to go over why it's like that. And we're going to do some comparisons and stuff. And so just hang out for a little bit. We'll get to the end of it, and we'll get your games looking better. So, a brief disclaimer before we start this. I had to tweak and tune the graphics card. The graphics card. Oh man, that goof up. I had to tweak and tune the capture card. I've got GPUs on the brain today, it seems. I had to tweak and tune the capture card because it isn't really capable of displaying my screen in a completely correct fashion. It is a little bit off with color and stuff. So, but in terms of black level, I got it as close as I could. With the white level, I got it as close as I could. So it's almost 1-to-1. But as you go through this guide and you go and you look at all of the settings and stuff, it's important to realize that your mileage is going to vary and that everybody's TV is different. This guide is mainly tailored around people that have their TV calibrated with the proper white level, the proper black level, not TVs that are extremely dark or TVs that are extremely bright. If your TV is extremely bright, it's still going to look bright. It's not really going to fix much. And if your TV is already extremely dark, this is probably going to make it worse. So let's go ahead and get started. So when I downloaded this collection, I had said to myself, geez, this is really kind of washed out looking. I don't remember the games looking like this. Even with my vision being really bad, I was even able to go and kind of notice it. So we're going to go ahead, run the stock settings, start a new game, show you what it looks like, and then adjust those settings and show you what it looks like. And we're just going to hop throughout all the games. So with Ninja Gaiden Sigma, it was really kind of weird. As far as I can tell, none of the games allow you to adjust the brightness in-game. So all of these adjustments, you're going to have to go and do from the main menu. You're not really going to have any sort of option with it. I know one of the other titles allows you to do minor adjustments in-game, but it's not really going to be enough to be worth anything. And we're going to go ahead and explain that a little bit later. So this is literally the stock, or these are the calibrated settings that I was going and using for a very long time. And so it took me a while to actually get them tweaked and tuned. But initially, they had the gamma set to 1.3. So we're going to go ahead, and this was fresh out of the gate too. This was right after downloading it, starting up a fresh title, things like that. And so we're going to go ahead and save that. And we're going to go and we're going to do the beginning scene again. And as you can tell, it's looking washed out. It's looking really gray. It just kind of looks like shit. Now, these screens are not meant to be any sort of gray. They're meant to be kind of an inky black, as they were back in the day and everything else. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start a fresh game. I'm going to throw it on hero mode because I'm a complete and utter puss. And we're going to go ahead and get down to it. So, as you can see right off the bat, even with the loading screen, everything looks really, really washed. And that's not really that great. Like, it does suck a fair bit, and, you know, it in all honesty could be better. And so we're going to go ahead and proceed. And even the beginning scene just looks washed out, color looks washed out, and everything else, it just doesn't really look that great. The suit's not supposed to be a a light, I guess, purple. It's supposed to be more of kind of like a darker and robust purple, and so orange looks a bit washed out. And as you can tell, it's really not. It's really not that great. You know, the blood still looks okay, but even it looks kind of washed out. Trying to do a video, asshole. You're making life difficult. So when you go and you look at it and stuff, and you look around, the the blood actually kind of looks like Schmuckers, and it's supposed to be a little bit darker than that. It's not supposed to, you know, be super poppy and stuff. And then the denser pools of blood, you know, they're supposed to be kind of like a darker black, as you can see, but they kind of look a little bit washed out, kind of like a darker graphite. So the environment looks really, really dull and stuff. And so we're going to go ahead, we're going to calibrate it properly. And then we're going to start it again. And we're going to compare. It's also worth noting that they never patched the issue where if you try to quit out the game to the main menu, it crashes. So they really just did not do a good job with these. The patching was very, very minimal and very disappointing. So as you can see with the beginning cutscene here, it looks gray. And it definitely did not look like that back on OG Xbox. I mean, the resolution did, but, you know, the brightness in general doesn't. You know, it's almost like the gamma's kind of screwed. So let's go ahead and adjust it right quick. Go ahead. We're going to go down to options. We're going to go down to screen settings. And we're going to go ahead and move it down to 0.8. It's important to have your gamma at 0.8. Your brightness is to be at negative 0.1. And your contrast can just stay at 1. So let's go ahead and start up. That main menu is looking better already. But it's really, really weird. Oh, look how beautiful that looks. Orange and red actually looks like orange and red. It's so exciting. It's really, really weird how they went about doing this. I'm not really sure what the hell quality assurance was doing, but I think they may have been drunk on the job that day. So see how it actually looks like it's in the afternoon now. Blood actually looks nice and dark, and the denser pools of blood are like a nice black. And then, of course, that beautiful purple suit actually looks normal now. And then, of course, his leggings look like more of a darker steel. You know, it's just a direct improvement. So. Right. Where's the other guy? So this is basically how the game used to look back on OG Xbox, back when I was going and playing it on picture tubes and stuff and everything else. You know, it shouldn't really look washed. It's important to note that, you know, this entire scene takes place in the afternoon. It's not supposed to look all washed out and stuff. And, you know, we'll go ahead and check this chest over here. It looks like a proper red, and then even the elixir of spiritual life is a nice deep blue again, and then the mala beads that surround it are more of a borderline dark green, you know, which is how they're supposed to look, you know, when calibrated correctly and stuff. So it's really kind of weird how people, when they were playing these games and they would say, well, the game sucks, it doesn't look right, this, that, and everything else. And, it's because they're not calibrated correctly, mainly. So even this lovely magenta here, looks correct, and it's really, really nice, I think. So, but yeah, everything looks as it should. The grip is a nice cherry red and everything else, and, you know, it doesn't really take much to go and tweak and tune these games, but I think a lot of people just really don't like doing it, or maybe they just don't know how to do it. I keep forgetting the newer generations were kind of raised on that slider of move the slider to the left or to the right until the box on the other side of the screen is not visible. So they don't really know how to just go and look at a gauge and say, okay, let's go ahead and move this around. And, some of them are kind of afraid of it, which I think is kind of silly. So let's go ahead and move on. So with Ninja Gaiden 2, it wasn't completely, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, it wasn't completely busted right out of the box. There wasn't really a lot of tweaking or tuning that needed to be done, but the brightness was definitely hiked up a lot higher than what it should have been. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the options again, and we're going to go all the way down to screen settings, go to video adjustment, and so you'll notice the brightness and the contrast, for all intents and purposes, are correct. They are supposed to be, sitting at the default value of 0, but for some reason when the game shipped, this was sitting at 1.70. So we're going to go ahead and leave it there, and we're going to go ahead and click back, and almost immediately you can tell that it just looks bad. Even the main menu looks like crap. So let's go ahead and start up a fresh game, and we'll go ahead and demonstrate it a little bit. So the screen is not supposed to be this bright. It's actually supposed to be pretty dark. Most of the time, TVs, when they get scenes like this, they'll actually try to go and compensate by going and having a black corrector take over for it. And so, as you can see, all of this is just blooming way too heavy. There's too much detail in the sky. The sky in general looks way too bright. It literally looks like the late afternoon and quite literally not the middle of the night. And quite frankly, that's not really that great. Like if you're going and playing a game and stuff, you should kind of get max experience out of it. But when they do releases like this, they kind of have a tendency to shove them out the door. And I think Tecmo's always been kind of known for this. Like the last while, I think between Tecmo and Konami, they both have been kind of doing half-ass releases a little bit, and it's just really not that great. But as you can see, everything is very, very bright and stuff, and it's supposed to be kind of like a shady little hole in the wall, but it's so well lit at this point that it's just really not that great. So we're going to go ahead and skip up the cutscene. And so you may not notice this at first because a lot of TVs will actively try to compensate for it, but as you can see, things are just really bad. And so let me finish sucking ass here. Whoop. Okay, so now that they are dead, oh geez, cutscene, leave me alone. But now that they're dead, the sky is, oh god damn it. The joys of my life being awful at Ninja Gaiden. There was a point in time where I was actually good at the game. I've been wanting to film it for a while, but I really just kind of want to save myself the embarrassment, I think. So, is there anybody else? Good shit. So, now, we're going to go ahead and look up. The sky is not supposed to be so bright that you can see the defects in it. Oh yeah, you can see the gap in the texture. It's never really, supposed to have been this bright. So, a lot of the details on Ryu's suit are grossly exaggerated and way too visible. It's supposed to be a lot darker than what it is, and it's supposed to have a fair bit of shine as well. And then his skin is, well, he's grossly incandescent, to say the least. So we're going to go ahead and quit. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the proper settings for it. And then we're going to go ahead and try it again. Oh god, that screen though. Ooh. And we're going to go ahead and move that gamma all the way down. As you can see, night and day difference. So, it's going to go ahead and save. The menu is going to go back to looking to normal. And we're going to go ahead and do hero again because I am a big puss. I can't handle it. I'm getting old. I'm not hardcore anymore. So, yeah, it's like that nice deep blue now and that lovely black shading in the back. So, let's go ahead and do it. Look how gorgeous that is. Truly night and day. That moon just pops in the background and it just looks oh so pleasant. Now, depending on what settings you have, this may actually look a little bit darker or a little bit brighter. So like I said, your mileage is going to vary. The settings are going to give you a good baseline, though, for you to make minor tweaks and tunes. That way you can go and tailor it specifically for whatever TV or monitor that you just so happen to be using. So it's time for me to go and suck some more butt, and we'll go ahead and show it off a fair bit. All right, time to button mash. Oop, whoops. God damn it. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look-see. See? The inside of the building is lit correctly now. Since there's literally just kind of a small little lantern in the back that's going and lighting everything up. A lot of the lighting doesn't look grossly exaggerated. Everything is very pleasant to look at, and Ryu's suit looks normal. It looks like a pitch black bodysuit with the occasional accenting here and there, and it's not black crushed, so you can still see all of the detail, but it's not so bright that it looks washed out. And that's kind of what you're going to be trying to achieve when you go and you calibrate the brightness as well as the gamma and the contrast on your games. You basically want to drop the black down far enough to where it looks really, really dark, but not far enough to where you go and you lose detail. So let's go ahead and watch me suck some more ass here. Okay, was that it? Looks like it. So, as you can see, this is a nighttime scene. You look down, everything's lit, but it's not grossly exaggerated. And then you've got that light pollution in the background from the city, and then as you look up, it's black. You can't see any of the defects in any of the textures, and then when you go and you look to the right, that moon just pops. All of the clouds are still well defined, the details in the moon look good. Basically, all of the imperfections that they would typically hide by making it super dark have been achieved. So you don't really notice any of the corners that they have cut. And that is the entire point of it. It's kind of like, how dithering used to go and cover up defects in various other games on the PS1. as well as save on processing and everything else. That's why people would kind of use dithering back on picture tubes, because it would just kind of blend everything together. It would hide imperfections, things like that. And so the trees look gorgeous. There's still all that detail there. The sign looks normal, and then the lights look like, well, the lanterns in the windows look like they have the proper amount of bloom. So, it's basically how things are supposed to look. And then you have the lights in the background, which are bright enough to have proper amounts of bloom, but the rest of the environment is not so washed out that they lose a lot of detail. So, this is basically how your games are supposed to look. And then when you go and you look at Ryu's suit, it is dark enough to be the proper shade of black, but it's not so dark to the point where it's black crushed, where you can't really see any of the straps on his chest. And you can still see all of the detail down to the meshing and the straps, and like the various buckles that he has and everything else. And above all, you can still see the detail in his face mask. It's not black crushed. You do not want your games to be black crushed, because when they are, that means you're losing detail. You want to adjust your brightness to the point where you can still see detail in shadows, but you don't see too much detail. There's like a thin balance that you have to sit there and try to achieve. So that's Ninja Gaiden 2. Now with Ninja Gaiden 3, it's a little bit of an oddball scenario. Ninja Gaiden 3 was pretty screwed up even back on Xbox 360. The gamma for the game is broken on a fundamental level. No matter what you do to tweak or tune it, your mileage is never really going to go as far as it should. So the game is black crushed by default. And it's really, really crappy. It's black crushed to the point where you cannot see anything. So we're going to go over the various issues with it and stuff. And we're going to talk about the caveats of actually going and fixing the problem. So let's go ahead and get down to it. So normally with Ninja Gaiden 3, you would be greeted with the screen that says, hey, adjust the slider until, the image on the left is not visible. That is a bad idea. So we're going to go ahead and go to screen settings, and we're going to go ahead and talk about it. You have two general settings. You have two types of screen settings. You got the general settings, which is the slider that you can adjust to, hope that it gives you the picture you want. Then you have the detailed settings. So with the general settings, as you can see, all of my crap is moved to the right. Typically, it starts you off in the center, and then the image on the right is completely gone. I would typically go and adjust it until it was on the third box from the right. And I found out very quickly that that does not work. So you have a second set of settings called detailed settings. And the detailed settings are literally where you want to go and be. The picture in the back is actually very, very misleading. It's a lot brighter than what the in-game is going to look like. The in-game experience is going to be substantially different compared to this image that they give you in the back. So, alright, so that's 4 from that particular center ticker. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what the game looks like when you use the calibration tool that they give you at the start of the game. It is really, really bad. We're going to calibrate it correctly according to the tool, and you can see how crushed everything looks. And then we're going to come back and we're going to fix it properly. And we're going to talk about the caveats of doing so. So let's go to general settings. We're going to go ahead and drop that sucker all the way down. And on my end, right there, it has disappeared. So let's go ahead. And as you can see, the menu actually looks really pleasant. It's not too bright. It's not too dark. It actually looks normal. It looks, for all intents and purposes, like a normal menu. So let's go ahead and click New Game. I'm gonna go down to hero because I'm a bitch. And even the costume select screen at this point looks normal. Everything looks as it should. So we're going to go ahead and use this first costume here as an example. It's actually kind of funny because the cutscenes actually look okay for the most part. Like, they have really, really good balancing. But as you can see, you know, when we skip it, shit really starts to hit the fan. Everything looks normal except for the game. So as you can see, the streets are way darker than what they should be. So we're going to go ahead and glide down. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to kill this dude. And nailed it. So, all of this is black crushed. All of the detail is literally gone. The lighting looks like crap. You literally cannot see any of the detail in Ryu's clothes whatsoever. And this was a problem even back on Xbox 360. When they released this game, they knew that it was busted. To give you an idea, there's like, after these beginning segments they shove you through, they have you investigate a room beyond this, and it is so damn dark that you cannot tell what it is you're doing. You can't see anything. And so later on, it was found out that they did not do the gamma correctly at all. If you choose to, quote, quote, calibrate it correctly, you're not going to be able to see anything. I mean, it looks somewhat okay. It looks dark, which is what it should be. But the problem is that it is so dark that you cannot see well enough to go and do base grade objectives. And that is a problem. It is a huge problem. A lot of people had this issue, and then, you know, Tecmo just didn't really care about it. Ninja Gaiden 3 is regarded as the worst in the series for a reason. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get into a well-lit area. As you can see, you cannot see any of the detail in Ryu's clothes at all. His arm looks like it's been stuck in a fucking toaster oven. I mean, granted, it's supposed to be covered in blood, but it still looks like it's been shoved in a toaster oven. So what we're going to do is, hopefully I do not trigger... Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, that low battery warning, though. Shit, I should have charged. I have to work fast. Is there anybody else? Nope. Okay, alright, let's go ahead and do this before the controller dies. So, oh, god damn it. Fucking interloper. I swear to God. Okay, was that... Oh, crap. You guys are so rude. I'm just trying to film the fucking video, you assholes. You know, hindsight, if I had any common sense, I would have made some saves beforehand to kind of showcase this crap, but, you know, that's what you get when you don't think. Okay, what about you? Oh, yeah, you want some too. I swear to God, I understand why, you know, they think that this is the worst in the series. Okay. Right. So, we're going to try to get up against the wall here, get a little bit of detail, get to a source of light. As you can see, you just cannot see much, if any, detail on this dude at all. You can't even, in most instances, tell the sash he's wearing is red. All of the detail in his pants is gone. You can't even see the detail in the threading on his calves. It is just really, really bad. Everything is just looking so damn awful. You can't even really see the detail of his arm. You know, it's supposed to be caked in blood, but it's so damn dark that it just kind of crushes everything. Even when you look at the buildings and stuff, they have a tendency to go and lose a lot of detail. You know, like a lot of the detail in the doors and stuff is just gone, even though they will, technically speaking, be next to a source of light. So it just doesn't really look that good. You know, it's incredibly hard to navigate. Once you start getting in the apartments and they start telling you to look for stuff, you really just can't see crap. And it impedes gameplay. It is so damn dark that it's not functional. You can't even really see the detail in his hair and stuff. Like, they had really just dropped the ball with it. And so it's important to realize that with Ninja Gaiden 3, you're never going to get a perfect result. It's not going to be like Sigma 1. It's not going to be like Sigma 2. You are going to be presented with one of two options. You either get to see what it is you're doing, or you can go ahead, leave it like this, and fumble your way through the game while they ask you to go and find things that you cannot realistically see. It does not matter if your display is bright, and it is going to be damn near impossible to do anything when your display is dark. So let's go ahead and fix that. Well, get as close to fixing it as we can. I still can't believe Tecmo just let this shit out the door like this. I'd be so damn embarrassed, man. It's like the menus look good, cutscenes look good, game looks like crap. Arguably the most important portion. So we're going to take some steps to actually go and fix everything. We're going to go back to screen settings. We're going to click on detailed, and as you can see, everything is just really just kind of, you know, like when you use the calibration tool, it modifies these settings too. So, but there's also additional settings on top of it that the calibration tool kind of messes around with. And so what we're going to do to try to get a better result is we're going to go to general settings, and we are going to max this out. And then we're going to go down to detailed settings, and notice how the gamma is maxed out. So what you want to do is you want to max out the gamma, and then you want to adjust this back to the center arrow, and you just want to move it about 4 spaces to the right. And so it's going to make this picture look like crap. But the goal here is to make the game dark enough to be aesthetically pleasing while going and making it bright enough that you can actually see when you're navigating indoors, because they had really, in many ways, dropped the ball with this entire release. It does not matter if you use a plasma screen, it does not matter if you use a picture tube, component cables, HDMI, anything really. The gamma on this game is really, really screwed up. So we're going to go ahead and start a fresh game. And we're going to see the difference, because you're definitely supposed to be able to tell what it is that you're doing, and without that detail, you're not going to have it happen. It's better to be slightly washed out than it is to just struggle endlessly through things. It's kind of sad, really, because it's not hard to just put this shit in correctly. It's literally a fundamental. So as you can see, the cutscenes are a little bit brighter. You know, there's a little bit more detail in the chopper and stuff. It's not looking as crushed. It looks more like it's sitting in the middle of the day and stuff. And you know, the back of this guy's suit is a little bit it's a little bit washed, but not super washed. And then these folks in the back here, you know, they're not looking super black crushed and everything else. And it's just really, really rough, you know, like it's, with this game in general, finding a happy medium is just kind of a painful experience. But again, the purpose of this video is to give you guys a good baseline to work with. I expect a lot of you guys to be able to go and tweak and tune it to try to find something that works for you, since everybody's TV and monitor is different. And so we're going to go ahead, we're going to skip this cutscene now, and we're going to get straight into the game. As you can see the detail of the street. You can see the lit details of the buildings around it and stuff, especially to the right and a little bit to the left. It just looks a lot better. And then you can also see the effects of the rain a little bit better as well, because the black level is no longer being crushed to such a ridiculous extent that you cannot see what the hell is going on. So let's go ahead, do the beginning segment again, and we'll go ahead and do a little bit of character model checking, and we'll go from there. Nailed it! Ooh, there we go. Ah, blood looks like blood. So, we're going to go ahead and do the fight right quick, since my controller wants to be a fuck about this. It's nothing personal, guys. I'm just on the clock. I gotta wrap up this video. I gotta kill all y'all fast. Oop. Come on, guys. I know there's more of you. I ain't got all night. Button mash, button mash, button mash. You know, strange thing is Ninja Gaiden 3 doesn't even really feel like a Ninja Gaiden game. Because I always felt that Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2, especially their reissues, were very calculated with their combat and stuff. Like, you had to have your shit together. It was a lot like playing Dead or Alive back in the day. Very, very technical games. I don't know what the hell happened with 3. And we are going to run all the way over here. Is anybody else coming? Are we sure? Can I actually do this? Alright, let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to head over to a source of light. Oh my god, you can tell the sash on his butt is red. Thank god. And then his arm is looking kind of gangly and stuff, but you can at least see the detail in it. It still looks like he stuck it in a toaster oven, but that's alright. The biggest improvement is you can see the detail in his hair. Above all, you can actually tell that his hair is brown. And so, even his pants, you can see the detail in it. You can see the straps. You can see the additional kunais that are on them. You can tell that his pants are a dark black, but you can still see the detail in the fiber. You can, make some sense out of the trim on his pants and everything else. I mean, it is, how it is supposed to be. You can see the detail in his lower leg guards, and you can see the thread, and it's just better. It's basically how it's supposed to look. Now, there are some caveats. Things are going to look, in some instances, a lot brighter than what they're supposed to. And when I film this, I'm pretty sure that it's going to look extremely bright because of the way that my capture card handles it. I tried to calibrate it as well as I can, but it doesn't have a gamma setting. So again, your mileage will vary. So when you look up, the sky does look a little bit washed. You can see a little bit of the imperfections in it and stuff and everything else. And yeah, the trees are looking a little bit washed too, but everything else is looking okay. You can see the detail on his face and the rest of his body. It's not looking too damn dark. And above all, you can see all of the detail in the cloth, and you can see the detail of the lit clock tower in the back. And that's the entire point. Like when you get to a point when you're going and you're adjusting the black level on your games and stuff, and you realize that you can't see anything, that lets you know that something is wrong. If you can't see base grade details that you're supposed to be able to see, then yeah, something is definitely wrong. But you can still tell that the inside of the car is extremely dark. It looks as it should. You can still see a little bit of detail from the burnt seats. Flames look good. Busted, blown out tires look good. You're not going to go and struggle to go and navigate. Just because it's a nighttime scene, it's also important to realize that it's not complete night. There's lights all over the place. And when you have lights in a scene and you realize that the scene is still oppressively dark to the point you can't see anything, that lets you know that something's wrong. So this is about as good as Ninja Gaiden 3 gets. You can't really do much more with it beyond that point. The best thing to do is to go to the calibration tool, move it all the way to the right, and then go into the advanced calibration, and then go down, move that other slider 4 chunks to the left, or to the left, sorry, to the right, and that's about as good as it's getting. I suppose that people are going to tweak and tune it from there. It's also important to note that a lot of flat screens these days, they will have automatic black adjusters, dynamic contrasts, things like that. When you go and you play games and stuff, it's important to shove your TV in game mode. And the reason why is because when you go and you get a flat screen, I know I had to do this with the new Bravia that I have, it will try to manipulate the image to produce what it believes the best quality is. I know with my TV I had dynamic contrast, dynamic blacklight, just black enhancer, just everything. And it was actually really screwing up my games. The best thing to do is to literally go and to shove your TV in game mode, turn off all the extra processing, and take time to calibrate your panel correctly. Because games, they do their own adjustments on the fly. They too have dynamic contrast and stuff. And when you have all of that additional processing going on, it's really not that great. It can be really painful sometimes. The additional processing is really good for movies. It's really good for TV shows. But all of the additional bells and whistles are actually really, really bad for games. And it's been like that for, since flat panels have been a thing. I know with the old KDL 55W900A from Sony that I had, it was doing that crap as well. When you go and you have your games in game mode, you don't want color enhancers. You don't want dynamic contrast on a panel level. You don't want, you don't want all of the extra stuff, because most games these days will make adjustments on their end. And when they make adjustments, your panel's going to make adjustments, and that can really screw up your experience. So it's really important to take time, calibrate your panel correctly, and then also take time and calibrate your games correctly so you can have the best experience. Out of the games that we ran tonight, I think Ninja Gaiden 3 is going to be the only one that really has any sort of, well, to be frank, any sort of fuckery going on with it. You're never gonna get it perfect, and that's okay. Sometimes when you go and you play games, it's about getting it as good as you can, and being satisfied with the end result. Some people are going to want this a little bit brighter. Some people are going to want it a little bit darker. Some people are going to be okay with everything being oppressively dark to the point where you can't see jack shit in front of your face. So, with that thought in mind, this is basically how you go. And if you're running it on Switch, I'm sure this applies for all the other platforms as well, Xbox, PlayStation, all that jazz. This is how you go and tweak and tune the Ninja Gaiden games to look proper. I know that the patches probably have fixed this issue, but I know a lot of people that are playing this game on cartridge still, and they didn't bother to update any of it. So if your games look like crap, if they look washed out, hopefully this can give you a little bit of a hand. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to wrap it here. And as per usual, thank you for coming out, and as always, be good to yourselves and each other. Take care now.